Hey everyone, welcome back to the vlog. My name is Angela D, and if you're new here, I'm vlogging about lots of different things, but most especially being a single foster mom in the time of COVID. My first foster baby is still in my care. He's right there. You can't see him because he's under the hood. He's 3.5 months old today. He is nicknamed Buster. I don't share any of his personal information as a rule. Don't talk about his case, about his bio parents, etc., etc. But I will tell you about my experiences with him and what it's like to be a single foster mom to an infant. So we are out for a walk. We are not in our own neighborhood because I figured it is safer if I am vlogging from somebody else's neighborhood, just for privacy reasons. In Los Angeles, you are allowed to walk around the neighborhood during COVID without a mask, even though I brought my mask, if you're just going for a walk, which I am. But I brought my mask because I don't really know if this neighborhood is overly populated and I want to be prepared in case there's a zillion people walking around. So I thought I would just hop on today. I'm trying to get the angle of this camera right. It's kind of difficult when you're walking. I thought I'd hop on today and tell you about who is in a foster care team. There are a lot of people you would need to think about, but I will tell you specifically about Buster's team. Not names or anything like that, but like who they are and what they do. So the first person in the team it's tied. The first and second people in the team are his foster parent and his bio parent. It is important that there is no animosity between these two people or life will be hectic and hell. I am lucky in that I get along with I get along with Buster's bio parents. So we have open lines of communication through text messaging, and because we are doing family time or visits over or digitally, we also have access to Skype. I made a Skype name just for him so that they wouldn't have my personal information, just for safety purposes. So that's what's happening there. The next person on his team are the social workers. So every kid that goes into foster care has a county social worker. That's the social worker through the government. And they are the ones that are basically in charge of the whole case, like facilitating communication between bios and fosters, between the courts, between the agencies if the foster parent is with an agency. They're the ones that have all the information. They're also responsible for coming to visit once a month in Los Angeles County, checking out the house, making sure it's safe, making sure the kids are safe, checking in periodically, answering questions from foster parents, answering questions from bio parents. They are overworked and underpaid, and they have way too heavy of a caseload in Los Angeles because we have the most foster kids in our system anywhere in the United States, at least, most likely the US, maybe even the world, I don't know. Anyway, they're super important. The next person on the team is the agency caseworker. So not every kid goes through an agency. Some families are licensed straight through the county. Some families are licensed through an agency. I'm through an agency. There are pros and cons to both, which I'll cover in a different vlog post. I'm gonna just check on my buddy. He's good, he's just chilling. I have a sun hat coming in the mail for him today, but until then I have to use this hood, but it's working out. All the other sun hats I have don't fit his head because he's a tiny guy. But yeah, so the next person is the agency worker. They are the ones that are through the independent foster care agency. They take some of the burden off of county by handling the cases, handling visits, handling home studies, that sort of thing. Super important. So that person is basically the same as the county worker as far as like what they do, except for they don't communicate with the courts. They only communicate with the county worker. They are there for the foster parent as support. They don't so much work with the bio parents, although they can work with the bio parents, but for the most part, they're there to support the foster parent. My agency visits once a week. That means they come to my house once a week, make sure the baby's safe, taken care of, make sure the house is safe, and still following like county guidelines. Because of COVID, we've been doing all of our visits digitally, which is kind of interesting. Now that I'm in the flow of things and he's 3.5 months, my agency has switched to me doing every other week visits, which is great because every week is kind of hard, especially if you're working. And there's not a lot that changes weekly with kids. They also have a lot of support for foster families. Like most agencies will have like support groups, or they'll have like trainings. It is kind of like their middlemen, but they're kind of necessary, especially when you're like in an overloaded system. So we've done bio parent, foster parent, county worker, agency worker, The next person in that list is the pediatrician. Every child who comes into the foster care system is eligible for Medicaid. I think that's what it's called. In California, it's called Medi-Cal, but free healthcare because they are considered a household of one. So the next person is the pediatrician. They're the ones that track the kids, make sure they're healthy. Super important, obviously, as any pediatrician is. I go to, in LA, there's something called the Hub, which is basically a medical place run by DCFS, I'm pretty sure. So they're not like a private practice. I started out at a private practice. I didn't really get along with I didn't feel like there was a lot of bedside manner with the person that I was with. And I really liked the DCFS guy, even though they're way further away from my house. But I figured that's super important, that you get along with a pediatrician and feel like you can communicate with them openly and that they're supportive. So I choose to go to the DCFS offices as opposed to a private practice that accepts Medicaid. Puddle. The next person on the team, for Buster, we don't have this person because he's 3.5 months, but therapist. A lot of foster kids have to go to therapy because of trauma experienced from separation or trauma experienced from abuse. Super important part of the team, obviously. It could be a physical therapist, it could be occupational therapy, lots and lots of different therapists. Thankfully, haven't had to deal with any of that yet because he is so tiny. So that's just the general team. There is more like an extended team that foster babies work with. Oh, I'm just checking the sun's on the other side. I know his face is that way. But that's just the general gist of the team there. If you have more questions about it, please leave them in the comments. I'm happy to answer what I can or what I know. Thank you for joining. If you haven't already, go ahead and click that red subscribe button down there. That shows Buster and I that you are listening, that you are learning, that we're not just talking out into the abyss. We'll continue to do vlogs as long as there's interest. If you want to follow our shenanigans on social media, go to @angeladeevlogs on Facebook or Instagram, and you can see what we've been up to. I update there a little more regularly than on YouTube. So head on over, click the like, click the follow. Thanks for joining. We will see you on the next vlog.